Let's welcome in now Jeff Sherman to talk PGA Championship at Golf Odds Superbook. Jeff, welcome to the program. Glad to have you back again.
Oh, thanks for having me on. It's enjoyable.
So we know that the four majors are all different, right? The Masters, the U.S. Open, the PGA, and the Open. What makes this championship, this tournament, this course different than the other three of them?
Well, I consider this almost just like a regular tour stop to some degree. It's the lesser of all of them. They try to test all facets of the game, from right from the tee to the putting, the speed on the greens. But it has the feel of a regular tournament more so than any other one. Now the depth of the field is incredible, and that's what differentiates it. It's got the strongest field of the majors based on the qualifications. But for me, we handle less on this than any of the other three, and it just has the feel that the public doesn't get involved in this so much because it doesn't have the luster that the other ones have.
And we've seen specifically to this course, Quail Hollow in Charlotte, that we see sort of the same players, at least the last couple of years, who play well each and every year in the tournament that typically is here, right? The Truist used to be the Wells Fargo. Is that something to look at as we sort of preview some of these golfers coming up, that this tends to be a course, for whatever reason, golfers tend to perform well in year every year?
Yeah, you have to look at that. I mean, anytime we come to a course, we take any type of data we can get. And so when we go to a major that has prior major experience, even if it's a couple years, we'll look at that. So you've got past PGA championships, and then you have, like you said, how they played at Quail Hollow. And, as Jordan Spieth called it, the Rory McIlroy Country Club right now, with him winning 4 times. So that's a starting point, and he's a co-favorite right now with Scottie Scheffler, and rightfully so. But there's a few golfers that have performed well here, and I think that they're looking forward to this week.
So let's talk Rory first. As you mentioned, co-favorite, other places sometimes second right now behind Scheffler. Obviously won the Masters, monkey off the back now. Do you feel like just mentally where he's at, he's in a better place now? Because I was on the train before the Masters, and I'm sure a lot of us I'm never betting Rory again to prove he can win one. Now that he's won one, he's played well at this course before. Is he the rightful favorite of this tournament?
I think Scheffler's a rightful favorite, and there's one big reason for me, and that's motivation. Scheffler had a nice win at the Byron Nelson a few weeks ago where he won by a large margin. And there were a lot of people doubting him coming back from his injury with his slow start to the season. And it wasn't meeting up to Scottie Scheffler's standards from last year. So he proved himself at the Byron Nelson that he looks like he's back. And I think he's taking that motivation into this week. And like you mentioned, Rory, he got the monkey off his back. But I think he's going to hear all that chatter about how this is his course and it should be so easy for him, winning 4 times. And I equate that to when he went to the Open Championship at Royal Portrush in Northern Ireland. And he had high expectations because he knew that course better than anybody. And he ended up missing the cut there. I don't think he's going to miss the cut or play poorly this week. But I just think the expectations, and now you see his odds in the 9-2, 5-1 range, it's over accounted for based on the 4 wins at this course. So I have a little bit of separation myself with Scheffler, a little bit ahead of McIlroy from a motivation standpoint.
Does it worry you that Scheffler has not won a major outside of Augusta? I mean, he's been close. He's tied for second a couple of times. He's finished third. He has not gotten it done yet. Does that include it in your motivation for this weekend?
Well, he's going to hear things like that too. Yeah. But it's a lot of motivation on how his play was to start the season. And he can perform on any course. I mean, his game fits any course. And I expect him to really have that extra gear this week.
Let's talk about JT, who's been playing some good golf. Obviously got a win this year. How do you kind of stack him up in this field for this weekend?
Yeah, I have him 4th rated, and it's behind Scheffler, McIlroy, and then Bryson DeChambeau is an easy number 3, coming off a LIV win there too. But like you mentioned, Thomas won at the RBC Heritage the week after the Masters. He'd been playing well for the last year, not putting together 4 solid rounds, coming close, but finally cracked through in a playoff at the Heritage. So with that, you look at the last time they played the PGA Championship here in 2017, Justin Thomas was your winner. He's won the PGA Championship twice, so he's got the game for this type of setup. And anything over 20-1, I think, is a decent bet. The way he's running right now, hopefully he can keep 4 together like he did at the Heritage.
You mentioned Bryson. And he seems to be the lone live golfer that actually overperforms, or at least performs up to expectation in these majors. How concerned are you for, look, Rahm did well in the Masters, but in general, these live guys have sort of underperformed relative to expectations in these majors?
Well, I think a lot of them just thought they could just turn it on when they got to this and go through the motions week in and week out at the LIV Tour. And that's not been the case. And like you mentioned, Rahm, you look at Cameron Smith, who his odds keep drifting out further because he just isn't doing anything. And I think it's lack of motivation standpoint from a lot of these guys. Dustin Johnson, he's fallen out too. So, like you mentioned, outside of Bryson DeChambeau, Rahm has the talent if he can put it together. And there's believers this week on him. When I went to 25-1, I saw some support. We're sitting at 20-1, but anytime I go higher than 20, I'll get support for him. So he's the one guy outside of Bryson that I think people still believe in a little bit. I'm on a live player this week myself, Tyrrell Hatton. I played him at 75-1 just because he's been a 40 to 60-1 golfer over the last few years. Seems like a little bit drifted out there because he hasn't been top of the board on live recently, but I think the odds are a little bit high on him, and he's got the game for something like this.
One of the long shots that I've targeted, and I don't know if I should jump on the train or not, or maybe it's still too risky. Look, Max Homa did not play good golf for what felt like a year. He has finished 8th in this tournament the last 2 years, and he finished 12th in the Masters and played some better golf lately. His odds right now are it looks like 160-1, like they're out there. Is he worth a play this week as sort of a guy that seems to be playing some good golf, has played well this tournament?
I don't suggest him because he's played so poorly for so long. And,
Yeah.
Sometimes at Augusta, you have a golfer that's got a good history there. And no matter how poor a form, they show up and they do well on that course. And I know he's got a decent history on this course, but I don't think it's got that Augusta equation to it. And he's done poorly on other courses this season that he's done well on. So I would put this course in that category. And he's just not a guy that I trust to put my money behind, just with what I've seen out of him this year.
Jordan Spieth, I believe it's about 50-1 right now. He's chasing that career Grand Slam. It seems to be getting further and further away from him. Is he a guy that you have any faith in this weekend?
No, and I'm out to 60-1 on him, and
okay.
looking to write some money. He's a guy that I just been fading in matchups weekly.
Yeah.
He's not consistent. He doesn't put the 4 rounds together, even when he looks like he's contending to get a win. Then he'll throw something in there that'll take him right out of the tournament, and that's the speed that I expect under these conditions right now. So he's another guy that I just don't trust for 4 rounds.
Let's talk about the conditions. I am in Charlotte. That's where I live. I'm not going to the tournament. I'm sure you go to golf tournaments. You're sort of at golf odds. You love golf, obviously. Do you enjoy going to like the actual tournament, like not practice, just like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, maybe Sunday? Obviously, is a little different, but Thursday, Friday. I went when the PGA was here a couple years ago. This was like 8 years ago now. It's been a while. It's not for me, buddy.
Yeah, I did. We had a PGA Tour stop here in Vegas in October each year, and we'd make it out there. I'd go on Thursday or Friday, and it was great to sit up above 17 and 18 on the hill, just drink some beers out in the sun all day. Nice weather in October. So I had a good time, but unfortunately they pulled that from us, and we won't be seeing them this season. There is no Las Vegas stop this year, but I did enjoy it. And to get out there for one day, it's almost like I equate it to if you go to the beach for a day. You get out in the sun, have some beers, and have a good time.
I was looking at this number while you were talking. I was Jordan Spieth to miss the cut plus 165. Is that something that you would be on?
I would be on that before laying the price to make the cut. So yeah, it's I really have to have faith in some guys if I'm going to lay $2 or higher on a guy to make the cut. If there's any question about it, I'd look the other way.
Another guy that will be getting a lot of money, I would imagine, is Schauffele. How's his number moving as we get closer to Thursday's first tee time?
Well, he's holding steady at 20-1, and I agree with you. I think that it's going to move closer to tee time. He's had success on this course. He missed time due to injury this year, and he's slowly getting back to the Xander we knew. Not quite to what we saw last year where he won 2 majors, but we have seen some sharp support on him this week in the matchup market. And I just recently took a play on him against Justin Thomas. So I've got Xander minus 135 against Justin Thomas here now. So the sharp players out there expect power rating wise Xander to be better than Justin Thomas.
How much of the market for you is these matchups? They're sometimes difficult to find in some of the the apps and whatnot. You obviously have them up. I see sharps that do wager on those. How often is that a market that's played, and you guys have to look at that as far as some risk?
Oh, well, I'd say it's 90% sharp play into those.
Yeah.
And conversely, in the outright market, it's 90% general public play.
Yeah.
So we really have to fine tune those and respect them. And you'll see aggressive moves on them. It's just it's a market that the sharps obviously like to get involved in because you're only beating one golfer as opposed to 155 golfers. So
Yeah.
it makes much more sense to do that long term.
I always look for them because I would like to play them too. It's just hard to find them outside of Vegas. I think there's not a lot of them up. At least maybe when the matchups come out for certain rounds on Thursday, they'll pop up. But to find a 72 hole, those ones they're playing, right? The 72 hole matchups. It's hard to find, buddy. I wish there was more access to them because I think that is a good way to play these. Weather. So it's may or may not rain. It's the South and it's hot and it's nearly the summertime. So we get thunderstorms every now and then. They pop out of nowhere. They typically are late afternoon. How much will weather, you think, play a factor? We saw the video of, I think it was Matsuyama putting in the pouring rain on Monday, which seemed kind of silly. It's not raining that hard in Charlotte anymore. How much do you think the weather will play a role in this?
Well, I think it's going to make the course play longer and softer initially. And if they get any more rain, it's going to help out with that. And, we opened the winning score up at 13.5 under par, which is 270.5. And in 2017, Justin Thomas won it at 8 under par, and that was in August, so a different time of year. But I added a few strokes to it based on the softer conditions expected this week. So we actually took some over money. So we're sitting at 271.5, 12.5 under par. But had we not received any rain this week or any expected rain to come, I could see being at maybe 9.5 under par.
So you mentioned that you're on Hatton this week. Anyone else that you have right now for outright winner?
Well, I did play Justin Thomas at 24-1, and a little bit longer, I like Corey Connors. I played him at 82-1, and Daniel Berger at 112-1. I think those two guys, they've been playing some really good golf over the past few months. They can fit this type of course. And I even took a shot on Aaron Rye at 249-1. He's a golfer that weekly in some solid fields, you might find him at 50 or 60-1. And to find him over 200-1 this week, I think he could be someone that can sneak up there.
Jeff, before we let you go, do you have a favorite matchup that you like so far that you've seen posted or you've posted yourself?
Well, one that I posted myself is I had a request for a Club Pro matchup, and I put Eric Steger against Michael Block.
Oh, Michael Block,
Yes.
Is he's still doing his thing out there? He's still
he qualified for it this week, and we've seen him in the past. And I actually made Steger a $1.30 favorite and took some respected money on him up to $1.45. So Block in a Club Pro Championship matchup is an underdog here.
$1 on Michael Block to win the tournament will net you $2,500. So if you would like to get on Michael Block to win the PGA Championship, risk your money at your own odds. Jeff Sherman at Golf Odds. Where can we find you this week or any of your work you do?
Yeah, like you said, at Golf Odds, and I have a website too with golfodds.com where I publish the odds that we put up here. So you can follow in either spot, and try to do that as much as possible. Any
LIV guys, Sammy, that you really like in this tournament?
Not Rahm. I was actually thinking about him to miss the cut. So Barry Rosner is a good friend of mine. He watches our show all the time. He's been on our show, and he is adamant that Jon Rahm is just, he made it, guys, in life. He's rich. I mean, hundreds of millions of dollars, got the family. Yeah. He's put a little weight on. I mean, he just going right. Look, I'm not saying that it's not something that I've done. But, make miss the cut market. Woo, you can get 5-1, Will, on a miss. I don't think that's the worst idea. I think Rahm is he's just not as focused, and I don't think he cares as much as he used to care. And hey, good for him. He has more money than any of us combined, and good for him. But I don't think that translates to success in 2025.
When you say he has more money than any of us combined, does that include Bear because he's not here? Is that what is that? Is
Bear it includes Bear's new girlfriend, the whole crew, everybody. I mean, these LIV guys, Jeff, They
yeah.
have so much money.
Yeah.
It doesn't, nothing matters anymore. He signed a $300 million endorsement contract too. He's just so financially set.
He is financially set. Yeah, I mean, I see plus 360 for him to miss the cut on DraftKings. I mean, look, I might play Spieth in this one as well. That's a suggestion that for kind of a Jeff Sherman fade. You can play Michael Block, by the way, to miss the cut at minus 1,000. Any takers on that? Michael Block's back for the PGA Championship this year.
That was a nice fade. Was it a couple of years ago where he came out of nowhere to have that great performance? Then he was a good fade the next week. I remember that, but no, that's a little out of my price range, Jeff.
Nothing will top you guys though. Last year, I think it was at Augusta when you guys were live betting Tiger bogeys.
Oh,
it was
beautiful.
I'm gonna
like, he did it again. He did it again.
Oh, it was
just kept live bogeying Tiger.
It was awesome.
Bear Bets full episodes drop twice a week right here on the Bear Bets YouTube channel. Remember to subscribe to stay ahead of the odds, and let's celebrate all of our wins together.